This is fancy, huh? This is actually quality. We love it with the short at the back.
All right.
I like this long.
So I gotta mute the microphone unless you ask me a question with that. And again, today we will be continuing.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah. And all right. So that's important that we going to mute the microphone unless you have a questions and you participate in class. Make sure that we're not going to have any noises. Sidetrack this. But anyhow, so we're going to finish chapter 6 and good morning. And so that's really important that we know how to do the quiz, how to do the binomial distributions, and we're gonna learn how to deal with that. So we continue working on it, and after that we're gonna move to chapter 7. So it's relatively quickly for that. So good morning. And again, that it's really important that we have the formula sheet. And if you don't have them, make sure that you're gonna go to the links or download it and use it for the exam. So it's impossible to pass the class without using a formula sheet unless you are really good at computing all of these now and so on. So morning, component. So I graded the exam, and then the majority of us did pretty well on it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we will be doing well on the second exam. So remember, this is what I want people, because before the second exam is completely different from the third exam. The reason behind that is the second exam is more
Actually, your computer one charge, you know? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than one chart that we need to read.
You can't
we need
reach
to
this
know how
up?
to read, and that's really important that we
Open the battery.
it's really important that we go into read that along the way. So let me just go over like the chart that we have right there, and then we're gonna focus on it. That's really important. Okay. And any concern before we start new things? Any concern?
Good morning. Good morning. I want to make sure that for the final, you say everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The final exam is like, it's include everything.
Okay.
And yeah. And the reason behind that, because no, I usually don't mute because I want people to participate. The more we participate, the more that we memorize it longer and do better on the second exam and final exam. So, but if you really talk to maybe families, or I understand, but try not to like, you know. Okay,
Yeah.
so this will be the chart that we're going to use for chapter 7. And this is the chart that we'll be using for chapter 6. It seems to be like a very small chart, but when it comes to the exams, it's just a lot of it, and sometimes you can't read it like correctly. So it's really important that we're gonna go to the chart. Maybe try to make it smaller so you can just have a bigger like view of the table, I believe. But if you want to read all these numbers, try to read that way. So maybe you can magnify it and you can see through what they are. But anyhow, so there'll be 4 tables, table 2, 3, and 4. And today we'll be learning table 2. We're going to finish chapter 6, and then we're going to start chapter 7 very soon. Okay. And again, after chapter 8, after we finish chapter 8, I believe, so that will be 1, 2. So we're going to have a second exam on November 21st. Okay, very likely. So we're gonna have a second exam on November 21st, and after we come back to it from Thanksgiving, and we're gonna spend 1 and 2 lectures for it.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So we're gonna
Um,
have like the lectures on
Can I ask a
December 5th.
question?
Let me just finish that. And we're gonna have the
Okay.
lectures on December 5th, and then final review on December 12th. And after that, we're gonna have the final exam about this time. And pretty much that we're gonna finish. After we finish the final exam, I usually post the grade like 3 days after the final, like the average grade. So remember what we've seen um, on my grade is not necessarily representing our grade because we need to take into account the weight of the certain point that we have, right? So we have like quizzes and homework and then exam. So exam basically more important. It's like even if it's only 100 point, but that's 20% of our grade. Any question? Yes, you have a question before? Please ask.
So the second exam on November 21st will cover what section?
Yeah, so it will be on chapter 6, 7, and 8. I mean, it'll be part of chapter 5 that we have earlier. So 6, 7, 8. So chapter 7 is the most complicated chapter. The reason why it's not really hard, but it's just complicated because we haven't really been through all of this concept before. Like we haven't learned it, so it might be a little bit difficult to absorb like this new material. But if we just stay in the classroom like on Zoom and then just follow what I tell you to do, and then you definitely gonna do well. Like including the people that who taking different sections, you have your friends. You can show them the way that I show you. It's really really easy to get a good grade on it. So again, that we going to have like the quiz number 2 next week. So we're gonna fight. We can figure out a quiz right there. So we have 2 quizzes. We have another 3 quizzes. For those of you who basically missed the quiz number 1 or quiz number 2, you need to contact me immediately. Usually, if we miss quiz 2, there's nothing I can do for you, unless you have some medical reasonings, like maybe you show me the doctor period for that. But generally, I'm gonna let people make up the quiz, like 1 or 2 quizzes at the end of semester. All right. So basically, now we're gonna go back to the content. So this is the thing that we need to go over, and I believe that I forgot to upload it. The thing I do apologize for that. So I need to upload the binomial. Actually, it can be done in that. So chapter 6. Practice questions. Yeah. So it was some of the question that we have earlier and binomial. They just upload in Blackboard. So those are the practice questions for that. And yeah, it's really important that we're gonna have this page so that we can have all of this practice as much as we can. So I posted chapter 7 part 1 as well, and make sure. I mean, I have like a number of people who can read this and then know what we're doing. Is really cool. But anyhow, we're gonna go to the practice question for chapter 6 and see what's going on with that. Okay. So this is
I'm sorry, Professor. So
Yeah.
the quiz is gonna be chapter 6,
you're gonna be on chapter 6, yeah, next week.
5, or this is
Just
taking-
chapter 6. I think the chapter 6 is gonna be like a main focus for us. Like chapter 5, it's coming from the third exam material, and maybe the combination permutation will be a thing that we're gonna see on the exams. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So we're gonna focus on this. That's really important. So let me just rewrite what we need to know for chapter 6, and that's really interesting. That's really important. So that chapter 6 is the binomial distribution. So bi mean 2, right? There will be success or failure, meaning that we're going to give it by the p and n, not a word. So that one was really, really important. Okay, so binomial distribution. So the question's definitely going to give us when is the homework for chapter 6 due next week? But try to do it as soon as possible, because right after the lecture, you're going to spend like maybe 10 minutes working on it, and then you get it done. But if you wait until like next Saturday or maybe next Friday to do it, you might forget a lot of stuff. So I really recommend people do it as soon as possible. That's really important. I believe so, but I'm not sure. Different people have different biological clock and different way to approach the problem. So I don't know. Sometimes people study really well at night. Sometimes people study really well in the morning, depending on you know, the approach. So anyhow,
I believe so. If you do it right away, it's better.
it's better, right? Is it? Yeah, I actually feel the same. So I usually do it right after right after what we have class, so we still have some good memory and good approach. But the longer we wait, the longer the more that we need to review. So yeah. Anyway, so the binomial that we have learned in this case, so it has to be like two things, right? We're not gonna do like all of these computations, like the combination of 5 pick 2 times the probably the ratio to the power something, you know. So we're not gonna deal with that because it's really complicated. So we're not gonna be like an expert, working on all of the decimal points and all of this power and so on and so forth. So we are an expert at reading the chart, so which is called temperature, right? So very important that we need to understand that if the questions give us the n, which is called whole numbers, and the p, which is called a percentage, then that we need to go for what? We need to go to temperature. Okay, so how do you know if the question gives us these two things on the exam? Because on the second exam, final exam, there will be like multiple questions asking out of the probability, but how do you know it was on chapter 6? So if the questions gives us the n and p at the very beginning of the questions, and so it have to be in chapter 6. So very important. Okay, so n had to be the whole number, and p had to be the percentage. So for these two, then we definitely go to table number 6, right? Table 2. I apologize for that. All right, so that's really, really straightforward. It's really important. We're going to use this chart for chapter 6. Okay, chapter 6 wasn't too bad, but the number of people get it right on the exam was very, very small. Maybe on the final exam, we did not review it enough, and we forgot a lot of stuff. We always messed up with chapter 6 and 7. So again, let me repeat that again. So chapter 6, that we need to make sure that the questions gives us the n, and question gives us the p. P in terms of percentage, sometimes in terms of the decimal number, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this table will be something that we need to work on. The second thing that we need to know would be called the expected number or expectation. So the way that we're gonna do it, so that would be EX. I'm not sure if they go over that before. So that would be the mean, which is called the expected, but they don't use the word mean because the mean is actually used for the data set. Okay, so when it comes to the binomial distribution, that we're gonna use the expected number or expected value for that. So this is what we expect on average, like how many people that we're coming along with the N and P. For instance, I give you the quiz of 5 questions, and the chance of getting it right will be 25%. So we should expect to get around more than 1 questions correctly. I mean, so we should expect to get like 4 wrong, and less than 4 wrongs and 1 correct. So if maybe we might have like 2 or 3 questions correctly. So this is what we call the expected number. Okay, that's really very, very important. So the reason why we use this one, I don't know, maybe we can try to look at the thing that we have right there. So, and a lot of people might ask me why I write this down in terms of this, and the thing that I'm not sure if I showed it before, right? So this is what we call mu, Greek letters. Actually, I did it. Yeah. So this is the way that we write them down in terms of a letter. So this is one of the Greek letters. It can also be used in chemistry. I'm not sure if you guys learned it before. This is what we call nanometer. right? 10 to the power 12, okay? Negative 12 is a very micro measurement that we use in chemistry as well. But in math and statistics, that we call this is as mu, or which is called one of the Greek alphabet. Why people use a lot of Greek alphabet, I have no idea. It just looks cool. It looks really good. It represents population's mean, and it's just really great to do that. So this is the expected value, and we need to be written down as the mu. So if you want to see what it is, so we have a formula sheet right there. So that would be on chapter 6. Okay, so we have the mean, which is called a mean, but on the exam, you will be given by the keyword expected number or the expectation or expected value. So all of these three terms, which is equal to n times p. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite a form for that. So that would be n and multiplied by p. Okay, the second thing will be called the standard deviations of the binomial. Will be written down as the sigma. So this one we call the mu, the Greek letter, and this one is called a sigma. And if you ask me what a sigma looks like, so it's also another Greek letter that we're going to use to represent the standard deviation of the population. So we call sigma. And the Greek letters, okay? So it looks like that. And when you go to the images, you can literally check how we're gonna rewrite them. It's writing the Greek letters on a computer. Yeah. And so this one, it will be the small sigma, and this one, the big one. So we're not gonna use the big one. We're gonna use the small one for that. It's just the way that we write them down for that part. And it's really important. Okay, so the lowercase, I believe. So how can we write them down correctly? I don't know, but it looks like it's looks like a letter O, and then we have like a little dash right there in front of it, and you can put it down like that. So this one we call the sigma represent the standard deviations. Okay, so that would be equal to the radicand of n times p times q. Okay, so that's really important. All right, so we're gonna utilize these two facts, and then we're gonna compute it. Okay, so let's see how many times do we have to think? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. So we're gonna see each other 6 more times, and that's pretty much it. Really sad, but anyhow, so this one you call the mean and expected value and the standard deviation of the binomial distributions. Okay, expected values and standard deviations of the binomial distribution. I will let you know what it is like when it comes to the definition for that. Okay, and let me just rewrite them. Okay, all right, and we're going to deal with the questions and see what's going on. I think that we learned. Did we do any questions here? Like question number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Not sure.
No.
No, any of them? Like question. I think we did question 3. Did we? All right. So, let's try to do. No. Oh, okay. None of this. Okay. So, okay. So let's try to do questions number. I think we did baby boom or something like that. Right? Maybe no. Okay, let's do question number 3 and see what's going on. So those things are going to be on the exam. So whenever the question gives us the n and p and then look for the probability, that we're going to compute, we're going to go for table number 2, right? Look for probability. And if the questions give us like, and then if the question asks us to do with like expected value and standard deviation, so those are two things that we have to deal with. So anyhow, we're gonna go to question number 3 that we have right there, and let's see what's going on for that. Okay, so this one is the questions that we have from a particular clothing store and then a marketing firm finds that 50%. So the first thing that we need to do with is you look for the N and P correctly. So the first thing that we're going to point it out in this case, so we're going to look at the P in this case. So that'll be 15%. That's obvious. So P equal to 15. Okay. It's really important that we're going to utilize that on the chart. I'm just going to make it a little bigger for that so you can easily see what it is. Okay, so P equals to 15%. And we also have like the N. So we have, suppose that we have 8 customers are randomly selected. So the N equal to 8. Okay, N equal to 8 customer. Okay, so that's really important. So usually the N is followed by the keyword randomly selected, and it's 8. It's not 10, those $10 coupon is just something that it called the reward. It doesn't mean anything. So we want to see like how many people that we pick. Like the N in this case will be equal to 8. Okay. And after that, we're going to go for the chart. So the chart will be the thing that we have to deal with. The first step that we need to do is to go to the N equal to 8. So that's really important. All right, so I'm gonna make it a little smaller so we can see through what it is. Okay, so so this is the chart that we're looking for, right? So how do you know? The first step that we need to go would be go to the table 2. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But the thing that we're looking for is on 8, and equal to 8, because this is where we select the number of customer, which is 8 of them. So we're gonna pick that, and then I'm gonna copy this image and post it. Okay, for some reason, I don't know why I go to media. Okay, so let me just copy and post this for that part. Now I'm going to go for that. So, all right, and right there. Okay, so this is the chart that we have. The thing that we need to do for the very first step is to go for the N correctly. So the N that we have equal to 8, right? And that's really important. N equal to 8. And after that, we go to the P. So the P equal to 15%. So 15% is 0.15. It's really important that we're gonna convert like 15% to a decimal number. So that has to be like 0.15, okay? So just divide it by 100. Okay, and then after that, we're gonna go to the chart. We're gonna go to the column that we're looking for. So the column that we have is 0.15, and it should be this one, right? It should be this one. So this one is 0.15. Are we good? And that's really important. So this one is 0.15. And we need to identify the column that we look for. So after N and P, so this will be a column that we have to take into account. So are we good?
Yes.
So we're gonna look for the N and look for the P, and then we're gonna get the column correctly. If you get the wrong N, so for instance, instead of we go for an 8 and now we go for 9, so we're gonna get completely different values, and all of them will be wrong because it just do not match what we have right there. So this is 0.272, 0.385, 0.238. If you go to the wrong chart, like even if you get the right columns, but it still be the wrong number because they're not the same thing. You have different N, we end up getting a different probability.
So how do we know what table to use?
Very important that if the question gives us N and P, right? N and P, N in terms of the whole number, and P in terms of the percentage. So N usually followed by the keyword where randomly selected or pick a number of people who, whatever it is, right? Object in terms of object, in terms of the things, so that have to be in chapter 6. So then we gotta go to table 2. So that would be the first part of the question. The second part of the questions will be asking us to compute the expected number and the standard deviations along the way. So that's really important that we need to go for table 2 in chapter 6. So now let's me continue on the questions where we need to look for the part A I want to highlight that because that's really important. So the keyword for that is no more than one of a customer. Okay, so no more than one. So we learned it before. We need to understand this will be the thing that you're gonna put in down, right? So no more than one will be what?
0.
Can we count one?
Mm, I
Yes or
don't know.
no? No more than one. So it can be one,
Yeah.
correct?
It can be one, yes.
Yeah, it can be one for sure. So in this case, that would be 0 and 1. So this is where we're gonna look at a chart by on the questions, because the questions asking us. So this one will be the R and the P of 0 and 1. So that's really important. So how can we find the R? The R usually coming from the questions. And for the part A of the question, that we can see that the R is right there. Okay, so this one would be the R. So no more than one would be 0 and 1. So I'm gonna box the thing that we need to look for. And those are the two numbers that we have to look at on part A. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no?
Yes.
So we're gonna look
Yes.
at how do you know that we have to go to the R? So we have to be on the second column after the N, so that would be the R. So the R cannot exceed 8. Why is that? Because we only pick 8 customers. How is that possible that we can have 8 people get a coupon, more than 8 people get a coupon, right? Impossible for that. So the maximum number that we can have for the R is between 0 and 8, right? So it should be less than N. You can't like, I select 8 people, you can't have like, what is the chance that 9 people are gonna get a coupon? That makes no sense. So, but it can be none of them make a coupon, have a coupon, and maybe one person have a coupon. So this is where we have for no more than one. In this scenario, we need to understand that no more than one would be 1 or less. Okay, 1 or fewer or 1 or less. So we're gonna use the chart to do the questions, right? So the chart going to give us the value, which is 0.272 plus 0.385, correct?
Yes.
And should we do it by hand? No, right? So we
No.
should not do every single calculation by hand because we have a fantastic calculator. Do we agree? Maybe you never use
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Some people just said to me like, I never use a calculator because the function is not cool, or maybe they don't have a zip, they can't download a zip file. I think you can still have the zip file on Mac if you're using that, but yeah. But I think that you need to have another add-in on your Explorer before you can use the zip file. So we're going to do 0.272 plus 0.385. So the answer for that is 0.657. Okay, so that will be the answers for part A. And always try to box the answers at the end so that I can see what it is, right, on the exam. So yeah. And after that, we're gonna go to the part B question. So I'm gonna use a different marker for that. So part B, we want to figure out the probability of at least 2, right? At least 2. So what does it mean by at least 2? Anyone?
At least 2.
At least 2. What does that?
0, 1, and 2.
So
More than 2.
No, at least 2. Let me see. More than 1.
Okay, so first of all, I need to analyze that. What does that mean by least? The least means what?
It can be more than 2.
Yeah, so the least mean the minimum, correct?
Yes.
The minimum is 2, so it can be like 2 or more, correct?
Yeah.
Right? Does it make sense a little bit?
Yes.
So that'd be 2 or more, because the most, for example, at most 2, so the most mean the maximum, so that would be 2 or less. But the minimum will be called the list. This is what we have in English, so that would be 2 or more in this question, meaning that we need to add from. We need to add from 2 all the way down. Do we agree?
Yes.
2 or more. So that would be the part B questions. Are we good?
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Right? So more than 2, meaning that, I'm sorry, at least 2. So that would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 customers going to get a key point. Okay, so in this case, that we're going to add up from 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So you don't have to show me the chart on the exam, right? Make sure that you're not going to show me the chart by 6, 7, and 8. Are we good?
Yes.
So that we're gonna add from like so start from 2, that'll be what, 0.238
0.238
plus 0.084 plus 0.018 plus 0.003 and plus 0. So because all of that is 0 at the same, it's not 0, but it's basically close to 0, so we don't count that, right? We want to take up to like 3 decimal number. So this is what a chart looks like. If we route up like to 5 decimal number, we don't have enough space for that. So the at most decimal number that we have for the chart would be 3 decimal. Yes, that's really important. So we're going to compute all of that to get a final answer. So we're going to take 0.238 plus 0.084 plus 0.018 plus 0.003. So the answer for that is 0.343, correct? Right. Are we good? So that'd be the final answer. So nothing else. There's no any competition regarding the combination of if we understand what it is, then just move on. And then we're going to use the chart to answer the question on the exam like that. Okay? So this one going to be the final answers. Are we good?
Professor, can you do one more example, please?
No, I mean, we're going to do like 3 more examples. So
all right, thank you.
You have to give me some time.
But you said no, I'm like, did he just say no?
Well, I mean, I say no for not going over chapter 5, but for chapter 6, 7, 8, this one definitely going to be the thing that I'm going to spend more focus on. So don't worry, I will be spending at least like 5 example or 6 or 7 example for each topic, so that we have, so that we know what we're doing, and of course it's really important because the second exam is so much harder compared to the first one, and yeah. So
thank you.
You're very welcome for that. And now we're going to go to the part C of the questions. Remember, I can also take 1 subtract the first 2, right? Because the total probability for each column, if you add them up, so you can take any column that we add, it's always equal to 100%, because the total probability always have to be equal to 1. So you can pick this column of 0.4, 0.55, and then you try to add them up, it's going to be 100%. So instead of we can get this, I just take 1 minus 0.657. I feel like it's a lot easier to get the answers like 0.343, because I know the fact that part A plus part B will be 100%. I can take 1 minus the first 2. I can get the sum of the last 6 of them, right? But it's up to you. I prefer adding because it's not confusing. It's very easy to work on. I just go to the calculator and do the math. And if you don't want to know too much for that, just add them up and make sure that we're going to read the chart with the keywords correctly. That's really important. And we need to identify at least 2, so there'll be 2 or more, no more than 1. So that should be 1 or less, or there'll be a lot of keywords for that. So the next thing that we need to do would be the mean, or the expected number. So the expected number that we call e to the x, and sometimes that we use the letter mu from Greek letters. Yeah, I don't know how to put it that correctly, so I just call u or mu. Okay, and then this one is actually equal to n times p for this question. Okay. So for that, so the n equal to 8, and then the p equal to 0.15. All right. So remember, the n had to be given, n and p had to be given at the very beginning of the question. So we're not going to take n and p from like part A or part B. Those are just the probably of getting a certain number of customers, right? Redeem the coupon. What we have to look at would be the chance that people get the coupon, deliver, and redeem. And then the N will be the number of the customer that we pick, that we select randomly. So these two numbers have to be coming from what? Have to be coming from the very beginning of the question. So that would be like 15% and a customer. So we're going to take that and we multiply them together. And of course, I'm going to change the marker for that so that I'm making sure that we have a little focus on it. So we're going to take 8 times 0.15. And the answer for that is 1.2. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? So what does that mean by 1.2? So this number tells us that on average, there will be more than one person. So I can't tell you that 1.2 person, that it doesn't make any sense. So there will be more than one person who actually got $10 coupon and deliver if we randomly select 8 people, right? So if we select 8, there'll be more than one person on average going to get the coupon, deliver, and redeem. Okay, so this is what it means. Are we good?
Professor,
Yeah.
is that how to solve the part C?
Yeah, this is the part C.
Oh, can you go over it again? I'm kind of confused.
It's a little confused. It's just so the question's asking us to look for the expected values and the standard deviations, correct? So the
Yes.
first thing that we need to do, that we need to look for the expected value. So this one is expected values, expected number, which is n times p. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I forgot to highlight at least 2 from the questions. I apologize for that. I should do that. Okay.
So we solve the expected value and the standard deviation, or is
And
the
the standard
standard
deviation.
deviation
Yeah.
but different? That's it?
That's it. The 2 of them, 2 columns for that. The one will be n times p times q. So the one will be n times p. The other one is n times p times q. And the q that we have is, let me just rewrite them. The q that we have is 1 minus p. I mean, it's not necessarily have to be like having a Q for it, but I feel like it's important to do so because we don't make mistakes on it. This is what I learned from a past experience. If I don't put out the Q, and then we can't solve a problem. So what is the Q? The Q will be the change that people do not redeem the coupon. In this case, we can see the form right there. So the standard deviation for chapter 6 will be the radical of n times p times q, where the q equal to 1 minus p. So when you look at this one on the formula sheet, this is what it is, right? So when we work on the questions, on the other hand, that we're going to have the standard deviations, we call STD. And also I usually use the syntax for that because it's really important that we start learning the syntax now, because when it comes to chapter 7, we still have to learn it. So that would be the radical of n times p times q. Okay, n times p times q. Okay, so what is the n? What is the p? So the n is p, something that we learned, that we have earlier, n equal to 8, and then the p equal to 0.15. So what that means that we're going to look for the Q. If we have 50% of people who got their $10 coupon delivered and redeem, so meaning that we have 85% of people who do not get the coupon delivered or redeem. So we just take the Q is the number, it will be the probability of failure. This will be the opposite for P, okay? The opposite for P meaning that I would say the complement for that. The complement will be a little bit easier term for us to understand. So that'll be 1 minus p. And so 1 minus p will be 1 minus 0.15. So that'll be 0.55. So a lot of us like can think of it relatively easy for that. So So let's say the change that we study. I'm sorry, the change that we study before the exam is 95%. So the change that we don't study before the exam is 5%. As simple as that. So we can think of the Q as the opposite for PO will be called complement for P. So the total would be like, now take 1 minus 0.15, that would be 0.85%. So this percentage represent the people who do not get the $10 coupon redeemed. So so that's really important. We can think of it that way. So after that, then we're going to look at the radical, right? We're gonna do on a calculator for sure. And so the n equal to 8 times the p is 0.15 and times the q is 0.85. Are we good? And then we're gonna do these competitions on the calculators. How can we do that? How can we do this competition? Anyone? Okay. So first step that we need to work on this competition is go to the calculators, right? You're gonna hit the second for this, right? We're gonna hit the second. And then we're gonna go for the x squared. Okay, we're gonna go for the x squared, and then we're gonna get the square root for that, and then gonna put down all these values right there. That's it. And you're gonna get a final, you're gonna hit equal at the end, so you're gonna get a final answers correctly. So let's do it. Let's do it that way. So we're gonna do like the radicand. So we're gonna hit the second, and then go to the square root, and we're gonna get this part, and then we're gonna take 8 times 0.15 times 0.85, and then you're gonna hit equal for that. So the answer for that is 1.0099, which is almost equal to 1. Are we good?
Professor?
Yes.
How did you get the 0.85? Where did you get the 0.85 from?
Subtract 1 from the p. Subtract subtract a p from 1. I'm sorry. Subtract 0.15 from 1. So you're going to get 0.85 right there.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome for that. So are we good? If I give you this question on the exam, would you do so?
No, I'm not good, Professor.
Oh, you're not good? So you need more example, right?
This is a little Q or is 9?
Confusing. It's
Q.
Q.
It's the
Okay.
Q. It looks really Q for me too. Yeah, I like that. Usually I don't do Q. Like I just do like 1 minus P on it. So we can do something like
I
that.
think
But
that's better.
That's okay. Now I know
is it better?
Yeah.
So we take times 1 minus 0.15, right? But I need to close like the parenthesis for that. And I feel like it's just not really convenient. Like you have to open and close parentheses on the calculators, and then you're gonna get the same thing for sure. But it's just more complicated. Instead of we looking for the Q, we can just take like 1 minus P. But when we do the 1 minus P, make sure that we're gonna open and close the parenthesis for that, and then you should get the final answers correctly. So that'll be 1.00, something like that. All right, so this is the first question that we have for the practice. Now we're gonna go to another questions for it. Okay, we're gonna go another question for it. And which number that we're gonna pick? Let's see. Which question that you like?
That's the one.
Let's go to the last one, okay?
Okay, 7.
Let's try it out with question number 7. Well, why I picked number 7? Because 7 is my lucky number. Besides 11. Yeah, I was born in November, so
Number 7?
Yeah. And number 7 is actually my lucky number. So we have 7-11 story. That's the reason why you know what's happening. Oh yeah, that's true. Okay. And yeah, 7's always my lucky numbers. I love number 7. I don't like 17. I just love 7 because we have 7-11. I go there very often for that. So anyhow, yeah, my favorite number is 11 because I was born in November for sure, and then 7. So okay. Anyhow, we're gonna go for the table. So before we go to the table, then we need to identify the N and P, right? So the P have to be in terms of percentage. Do we agree? So that would be equal to 5%, and then the N that we have is 10 people, right? And suppose that we have 10 people come to the lot for today. So in this case, we're gonna put them down. The n equal to 10, and the p equal to. So can somebody tell me what is the p in this case? Like 5%. So how can we convert to the decimal number?
Point.
Divide.
You divide it. Yeah, very good. Do not
Right.
try to do it. So just divide 5 over 100. So you're gonna get 0.05. Do we agree?
Yeah.
All right. So no, the reason why I make this is a big deal because on the exam I do that, and all of a sudden there will be a number of people who try to go something like that on the exam. That makes me really, really disappointed. So for instance, right? No, I would like to ask people right now which column that we have to use for n equal to 10, and what is the p equal to 0.05?
The 10.
That one's right?
Mm-hmm.
No,
No.
this one.
Yeah, that one.
This is 0.5. This is 0.50. This one is 0.05. Okay, but there will be like a number of people, not only one person, but like maybe 3 or 4 people who go for like 0.5. And I feel really sad for that. So this is not the correct column that we're looking for. This is 0.5, 50%. So 0.055%. So we have to use this column. Okay. So I don't think I have enough space for that. So let me, it's just a little too small. Do we agree? Let me try to copy this down. Other than that, I can just only copy this one. Okay. Okay, let me see. Can we see the percentage?
And it's 10.
All right, so it covered the entire thing, so this one is not good. Let me just copy like the n equal to 10s right there and go for it. Okay. I feel I can work it out a little better, a little bigger. So I just going to deal with that. Okay.
10.
And let's go. So we have n equal to 10. And for this part, just copy this column and post it right there. I don't have enough space for that. All right. So so the first one is the p equal to like we can see that the p equal to 0.01. So the second column for the p is the thing that we're looking for, right? So this one. So we're gonna look for that column. Do we agree? So which is this column,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not gonna be like 0.5 or whatever it is. So this is 0.05. And let me just rewrite them for that so that I can have a better understanding of what we're looking for. So this one is 0.05.
I got it.
You got it, right?
Yeah, I have my paper here.
Oh, you have the paper here. That's fantastic.
Yeah, make a copy.
And
Yeah.
if you can make a copy, that would be great. I don't like looking at the screen for like maybe 2 hours on the exam. It's not really unhealthy for our eyes, and
Yeah, I always make a copy.
it's always good to read it, like including the book that we read, right? It's not going to be really cool to read like the PDF book. It's
Yeah.
really hurt our eyes, and I would rather have like a hard copy book to read at night
The old
with my
fashion
dogs around me,
between.
have a cup of coffee. You know, it's fantastic. Anyhow, so this one we call the P for this. Okay.
Mhm.
So let me just make it a little bit small so I can see what we're doing on. All right. Okay, so the n that we have, of course, that we have to go for the n equal to 10, because in this case, we're going to get the n equal to 10 right there.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we're going to read the part A question. So what are the part A questions asking us to do? What is the part A asking us to do? So,
Sell exactly 3 cars.
3 cars today.
3 car.
exactly 3.
3 car.
So exactly 3. What does that mean?
3.
So that would be 3, correct?
It's gonna be
R equal to 3. Do we agree?
0.0.
Yes.
So how can I find r equal to 3 on a chart? Can somebody tell me what the answer is?
0.03. I mean, 0.010.
0.010.
0.0,
010.
right? Doesn't matter if I get rid of the 0 right there.
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Right. It's perfectly okay to get rid of 0
Okay.
after 1. So let's say I can write them like, this is what I really want to give you a little brush up. Sometimes you just don't know if you get it right or wrong. So for instance, do you agree this number going to be the same as that number? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? Yes or
Yes.
no? Yes, no. Yes. But what do you think of this two? For instance, I can have 0.10 and 0.01. Are they the same thing?
No.
No.
No, right? Because the 0 before the decimal number point and before the decimal, they're not going to be the same for that, right? So this one is 10%.
So
And
let's
this
copy
one
the sample now.
is 1%. Does it make sense a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but that example, I can add like 1,000 after 1. It doesn't change the fact that this one is 1%. Okay.
Okay.
But if I got rid of the 0 in front of the 1, in front of it, that's going to change the complete question for that. So this one's not going to be the same thing. There's no quiz today, Junior, but we're going to have a quiz, I would say, next Saturday. I think we should have a quiz today. Yes or no? After
No.
class?
No, next
Should we
week.
have
No.
them?
I have
Let's
class.
say I give you
my.
like, let's say I give
Oh.
you like 24 hours to do it. What do you think?
Yes.
No,
No,
professor.
sir.
No,
No,
no.
no, sir. Prefer tomorrow. I mean, next week,
Next
please.
week.
Next week?
Yes.
Next
Okay.
week.
Next week, you're gonna forget a lot of stuff. I have to
No,
prepare
next week
questions.
is better.
All right. Okay. Anyway, so because somebody mentioned it, and it's getting up to don't it's not a big deal. Okay. So we're gonna have a quiz next Saturday. All right. So now we're gonna go to the part B questions. So what is the part B questions? Can somebody tell me what it is? What is the keyword for that?
What's the probability he or she
Fewer than 2.
Fewer than 2,
Fewer than
right?
2.
So
Fewer than
that's gonna be
Do we
0, 1,
count
2.
2? Do we count 2 in this case? Fewer than 2.
Yeah, 012.
No, we don't count 2.
No? Oh.
No. Yeah,
Or
because
0, 1.
yeah, because
Professor,
yeah.
what's going? Yeah, I got lost at the 0.010 equals 0.1000. Or where do we
Yeah,
get that from?
I just randomly like make up like the numbers such that I add like 40 after 1, so it's still keep the same value. So this is 1%. But if I got rid of 0 in front of a decimal place in front of 1, so that gonna change the entire number at all, right? For the whole thing.
Also, that was just like an example. Something it was an example, right?
Yeah, this is just one example. It's not gonna
That was an example. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't worry about that. Okay, so now we're gonna read the questions for that. So fewer than 2, it's really important that we need to understand this one. Fewer than 2 will be like 1 or less. Okay, so we cannot count 2 in this case. It should be strictly less than 2. So let me just put it that right there. We do not count 2. Okay. Yeah, this one is the hardest part of chapter 6 is actually not about reading the chart. Sometimes we just understand a keyword for that. So the keyword that we can read right there is fewer than 2, right? Exactly 3 was easy. So just look at a r equal to 3 and you get the finding answers correctly. But if you ask me what is fewer than 3, fewer than 2, you have to think of it, right? We have to think of like whether should we count 2 or should we not count 2, right? So when I have the keyword fewer than 2, then we do not count 2. We just count from 0 and 1.
1.
Okay, so we're going to add them up for r equal to 0 and plus r equal to 1. So since we only have like a few numbers, there's always put in there like r. If we have like more than like a lot of them, like that example. So we don't have enough space. Just simply put them down as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I understand it. But now we have space, so I really want to make sure that people are working on the R equal to 0 plus the probability of R equal to 1. So what is R equal to 0? Meaning that there will be no car that he or she can sell. When it comes to the R equal to 1, meaning that there will be exactly one car that the person can sell. But anyhow, so part 8 is right there. So let me just do the marker that we have right there. So this one is the part 8. Okay, so fewer than 2 would be 0 and 1. So that would be a thing that we have right there. Okay, so this is part B. Okay, and then we're going to do the math for this. And the math that we're going to have right there would be equal. So fewer than 2, so we're going to count from 0 and 1. So that'll be 0.599 plus 0.315. Do we agree?
Mm-hmm.
And of course that we have to do it in a calculator. So the answer for that is 0.914, correct? Plus this one, 0.914. So that'll be the final answers. Are we good?
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we get point? No, R equals to 0. Where do we get the R?
Yeah. So we're gonna add up like these two numbers, the first two number that we have, the first two decimal that we have, and then you're gonna get a final answers correctly fewer than 2. That's it. Are we good?
No, I didn't get it.
Okay, you didn't get it. So we're gonna go to like fewer than 2, meaning that we going to count the R equal to 0 and the R equal to 1, and then we're gonna add them up, right? So R equal to 0, we got the answers, which is 0.15. This one, right? 0.599. And then for R equal to 1, so we're gonna get the answers, which is 0.315.
Yeah, but on the first example you gave,
The third example that we got is yeah, exactly 3 cars. So that would be exactly 3. So we do not add or subtract anything for that. We just go to the R equal to 3, and then we got the answers right there. So the R is here. Yep, the R is right there. Right. So we're gonna go to the column that we look for. So exactly 3. So that'll be R equal to 3 right there. Right. Which is 0.10. Okay, so maybe if you said that I don't get this part, I feel like that's good, but you don't get this number, I usually ask people to open your eyes a little bigger. So I'm just kidding for that, okay?
Professor, let me ask a question, or if when you give the question and you find the N and the P, could you say that when you're looking for the A and the B, you just go to forget about the first one and then just stick to where where the box is?
Yeah. So the boxes that we're gonna use is based upon the N and P that we found from the very beginning of the question.
I don't see the 0.5 on the box. So how did you see it? Because I've been looking through it.
Which is right there. So
okay, all right.
Yeah. So 0.05 right there. So I don't have enough space, so I couldn't really put it here right there. So that would be the P is 0.01 is 1%, 0.05 is 5%, right? Which is right there. Are we good?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And now we're gonna go for the part C. So what is the part C questions? Anyone? What do we have to do for part C? We need to compute the
Standard deviation.
The standard deviations. No, the expected. There will be two calculations. Expected number. Remember, there will be 2 calculations that we have to do. If you miss any of them, what's happened? I want to take
10 times 0.5.
Exactly. So you give me some times, and then be patient a little bit. So we're gonna have the means in this case, or we just call the EX. Expected number is this one. Will be called the. So the way that we write them down will be called that, the mean. And then equal to n times p. So in this case, the n equal to 10, and p is 0.05, right? And then of course we're going to do it on a calculator, which turns out to be, remember that we need to do 2 calculations. If you only did one of them, I will take away points. So make sure that we're not going to miss any of them. On the exam and the final exam, it's going to be working the same, that we need to compute the expected number and the standard deviation. We have to do 2 calculations on it. But I don't know what happened, but there will be like a number of people, not only one person, maybe 5 or more people that actually just did one single question. What can I do? I need to take away 2 points on the final exam, but on the first exam, even more points when they compute when they forgot to do like the expected number, the expected value for this. If you forgot to do this n times p, you're gonna get some point taken away. So make sure that we're gonna do this calculation. The second thing that we're going to deal with will be the standard deviations. So the standard deviation that we call the sigma, and it is n times p times q, right? N times p times q. Okay, I feel like it's always better to type than just putting that n times p times q. Okay. So for this part that we're going to plug in the value. So what is the Q? The Q will be the change that people cannot.
0.95.
Yeah, just 0.95. So 1 minus, so the 5% change that people can land and sell. So that'll be 95% change that people cannot land and sell. And apparently this one is really important. If you don't want to do it like that, we can just take 1 minus p on the calculator like that. I still give full credit for this. So that would be equal to the square root of so the n that we have is 10, and the p is 0.05, sorry, times 0.95 on the calculator. And of course that we need to do it on it like that. So we're going to take the square root of 10 times 0.05 times 0.95. Are we good? And the answer for that is 0.689. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get a 95.
Thank you.
How can we do 0.95? I just take 1 minus 0.05, which is the percentage of people can land a cell per day.
No, like how do you get the 0.5? You did 10 times 0.05?
Uh-huh. So I did 10 times 0.05 and it got 0.5. Yeah. So on average, that we should expect that person to land less than 1 car. Okay. It's really, really interesting because we only have 5% chance, so 10 people coming. So we should have less than 1 person who can make a deal for that. So that's pretty interesting for this. Are we good?
So, Professor, it always have to be in 3 decimal places?
Always have to be what? I'm sorry.
In 3 decimal places?
Yeah, in that 3 decimal places. So that would be a little easier because the chart also gives us 3 decimal places.
Okay.
Right. And then, so I think it's fair enough that we're going to put down 3 decimal places on any number that we have, unless the question only have one of them, let's say 10 times 0.05. There's no way they're going to add 0 after that. So just put that 0.5. So that would be the final answers. Are we good?
Yes.
So I think we need more questions, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to pick a question to work on. Which question that we prefer? Did we do question number 5? No.
No.
No, just do question number 5 and see what it is. I think I put out the answer for that. After that, you can just compare and check. So started from chapter 6 because the material getting a little harder. So I will put down the answers like A, B, C on it. So we can just compare them and see what it is. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have right there, we're going to suppose the probability of the hurricanes in the calendar year is 25%. That's huge. That's crazy. The 25% hurricane. Are you serious? But anyhow, we're gonna go to we need to figure out what is the P and what is the N, right? So the P in this case,
N is 11.
N is 11. Very good. And what is the P?
25%.
Yeah, 25%. So okay. So the P will be 25%. So I convert to decimal number, so like 0.25. Are we good? And then the N that we have here would be equal to 11. Okay. Why I always give number 11? Because this is my favorite number. There's no other way. Just 11-year period. Yeah, I can make it like 4-year period, like 10 or 5 years, or 10 years, 11. So just go for 11. And there's no other reason for that. So we just love number 11. And
You're almost eating cake.
I feel like, yeah, I need to blow a candle for that too. Not only the cake. Anyhow, so this one is going to be the thing that we have to look for, correct? So we go to the N and go to 11. And then we're going to go to the P for 0.25. Let me just copy these pictures for that. On the exam, you don't have to show me this, right? You're not going to show me like how we're going to get the N, how we're going to get the P. I just want to show it right there so we can see through what it is. So what is the work that you have to show on the exam? This is the work, right? This is the work that you have to show. This is the work that you have to show. This is the work and this is the work and nothing else on the chart. Okay. Oh, your sister is November 20 as well. That's fantastic to hear. Yeah. November is Skopje. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, all right, who cares? Now we're gonna go for the chart right there, and then we're gonna just copy this and see what it is, okay? And I think I have not enough space for this chart for the entire things that we have. I should give 12, but I don't like 12. The number was not highlight, and also it's not my favorite number. I'm just kidding for that. If 12 is your favorite number, just don't take it seriously. Anyhow, we're gonna go for this chart. Okay, so the first step that we need to look at is we need to look for the N equal to 11. What happened like when it taught like the course on campus, and some people just go to the first chart for table 2 and then that's it. And I was like, I couldn't find number 11 on the first page, and then I give up the problem. Okay, so this is not a legit reason to give up the questions, right? So you need to keep going for the second page for table 2. Remember, table 2 has 4 charts, right? So we have 8, 9, 10, and couldn't find it. Then we have to go to 11 right there. So this has to be the chart that we're looking for. So after we get to N equal to 11, then we're going to go for the P equal to 0.25. So apparently this is the P that we have right there, correct? So this is the P of 0.25. Okay. So let me just do it right there. And N is 11. So we have N equal to 11. So this one is N, right? The reason why I'm doing that is so that we can easily see and, you know, go back to the note and check what's going on. Usually make sure that we're not going to do that on the exam. You're not going to like copy and paste for the entire image and then you show me what is the N, what is the P. I know what it is, right? You're not going to do that on the exam. Make sure that, you know, save your time because the second exam is going to be a lot harder and a lot longer. So make sure that you're not going to do all of that. So the questions that I'm going to be working on, again, what is the part A questions? No more than 2, right? No more than 2. What does that mean by no more than 2? Anyone?
0 and 1.
0, 1, 2.
Do we count 2? Yes,
Yes.
we do count 2 for that, right? So in this case, will be 0, 1, and 2. Yeah, 0, 1, and 2, right? So we're gonna add it from like P of 0. So I don't have enough space, so I'm not gonna put down the R and P of 1 and P of 2. So for this particular question, so we're gonna figure out what is part 8 question, so we can really clearly see that no more than 2 will be this one. Okay, and when we compute those things, so we're going to just read it on the chart. So that'll be equal to what? That'll be equal to 0.042 plus 0.155 plus 0.258. Okay, and we're going to add them up, which is the final answers for that for sure. Okay, are we good? So what is the answer for that is 0.833. So that makes sense because we got 25% chance of getting a hurricane. So what are the chances of get more than less than 1? I'm sorry, no more than 2, so that would be 0.258%. Okay, so the answer for that is 0.833. Are we good? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to the part B questions. For the part B questions that we're gonna have the probability of like greater than 5 hurricanes. So in this case, we're gonna go to the part B part questions like greater than 5. So what does that mean by greater than 5? Anyone?
More than 5.
Do we count 5? Do we count 5 for that? Right?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
That's it. Just add it from 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 11. Okay, so since we have after 9 it's just like 0, just put them down as 0 for that, plus dot equal to 11. I think just put them down. Just want to be fair. We have space for that. Okay. All right. So we just need to add.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
For part A, we add 0.42, 0.155, and 0.258.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it?
That's it.
But I'm on a calculator, I'm getting 0.455.
Oh, the reason we had that because
I put the 0. I don't put the 0 in the front.
Oh yeah, I think I make a wrong calculation for that. So if you should put a 0 for that, that is a very good point. So that should be, I have an edge problem. So when I look at a problem, I just added up wrong. So it should be like 0.042 plus 0.155 plus 0.258. Yeah, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. So the answers for that is like 0.455 instead of 0.3833. So I apologize. Why nobody remind me? It's only one person said that. You guys should let me know what it is, right? Or you want me to make a mistake on it so that.
He got that, but I was saying I'm going to go back to it because I thought maybe I made a mistake.
You think you make a mistake? I might make a mistake because I have some eyes problem for like 0.42.
Oh,
but it's actually 0.042. Thank
Yeah,
you
that
very
was what
much.
I
At least one
thought.
person take the whole responsibility. All right, so we're gonna put them down as. So I apologize. So that would be the answers is 0.4855. Are we good?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yeah, thank you very much for your courage to correct that. And make sure that you're gonna say it if I actually wrote it down because in the morning, on Saturday, hold on, right? Everything needs to reset the energy for that, right? And so now we're gonna go for like the probability of p equal to 6. We can literally check that start from 6, so we're gonna get like 0.027 plus 0.006 plus 0.001, and we got the answers on the calculator. So 0.027 plus 0.006 plus 0.001. So the answer for that is 0.034. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we good for that? Let me just double check if I make any mistakes on it. I'm so scared of missing any 0 for that. We're gonna get the entire problem wrong. So it's really important that we have a number of decimal in front of a 0, as I said earlier. and that's really important. So you're gonna get the answers, which is 0.034. Are we good? And now we're gonna go for the mean and the standard deviation for it. So what is the mean? What is the standard deviation? And then just do it over and over again, right? So the average, so we call the mean. So that would be equal to, so the mean that we have would be n times p, right?
Professor.
Yeah.
Why, if it's P6 plus P7 plus P8, why did you just add the 0.27 and then just three numbers and left the rest?
Because the rest of the 9 equal to 0.
Those are 0.
That's a 0 for that.
Oh, because it's 0. All right, I caught it now. Sorry.
We can just add 0 right there. So it's, I feel like it's fair enough. That we're gonna have 0. Usually, we should add like 0 plus 0 plus 0, but if you just add up these 3 and understand it, so I give you full credit for that for sure. So the mean that we have will be n times p, right? So n times p for this. So what is the n?
11.
11, right? Well, what is the p?
0.25.
And what is the answers? 2.75, correct? Is it? We can do it on calculator and check. Did I show you how to do the math? Like multiply by 11? That's really cool, right? We've learned it before. Some people just, why I love number 11, because I can multiply by 11 really quickly. So we got the answers, which is 2.75, correct? And now we're gonna go to the standard deviation. So the standard deviation will be a little sigma. So I apologize, you have 12 written down. To be completely honest, I don't know how to read that correctly, like the Greek letters, unless you study the ancient Greek, like, and then we know like what is the letter for that. So the sigma in this case is number 17, or maybe, I don't know. You can try to look for it if you have the time. Help me out with that. I'm trying to learn some Greek as well. And the letter sigma, what is the in the alphabet for that? But anyhow, so we're gonna have this one will be the square root of n times p times q, right? So the n times p times q, and we're gonna put it down and on that example. So the n times p times q in this case, so the q is 1 minus p. So the 1 minus p will be 1 minus 0.25 will be 0.75, right? So the chance that we can get a hurricane is 25%. So the chance that we do not have the hurricane is 75%. Right? Similarly, the chance that we can get the correct answers, and of course, is 25%. So the Q will be 75%. As simple as that. And then we're gonna just do the math for that. So the math will be the radical of what else? The radical of what?
I got 1.75. Is it the same?
It should be the correct. So I'm gonna take like 11 times 0.25 times 0.75. And when you do these calculations on it, and I should be able to get a final answers correctly. So what is the final answer? So we're gonna take the radical of 11 times 0.25 times 0.75. You should get 1.13, something like that, correct? 1.40,
yeah.
Actually, yeah. No, 1.75, of course, is not going to be the same as 0.75 for sure. 1.75 is 1.75. 0.75 is 0.75, unless we have like, you know, different, those are two different stories. Okay, so so the final answers for that after that, the answer for that is 1.436. Are we good?
Yes.
We seem to be like having some trouble with the mean and the standard deviation, correct?
Professor.
Yeah. Do you want me to do one more thing or one more question for that?
I got 14.36.
How do I get what?
You got 1.436, but me, I got 14.36.
Oh, I think that you think that you might have messed up with this. So this is 0.75 is not 7.5. So when you plug that in, you got to be careful. So I'm going to heat the seconds and then x squared. And then you put down 11 times 0.25 times 0.75. And you got it right. Absolutely. So that would be 1.436. Okay. Just got to be careful when we do these calculations on it. And make sure that we're going to check the decimal number point because that's really important to get it right. Okay, so we check the decimal point. Yep.
How do you get the
Problem
0.75?
is how to get the Q.
Oh, the Q is
That's
we're
what
gonna
I'm
take
stuck on right now.
we're gonna take 1 minus 0.25 and we get 0.75 right there.
It's always gonna be 1 minus 2.5.
Yeah.
Or
It's always be like 1 minus P. So the P in this question is 25%. So we're gonna take 1 minus P. So that'll be 1 minus 0.25 is 0.75.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I forgot to put them down. I apologize for that. Okay, so forgive me for this little a little mistakes right there. So I just put them down as 1 minus 0.25. So let me just do this. Okay, so let me just rewrite this as so this is 1 minus 0.25 equal to 0.75. Okay. Are we good?
Yes,
Do we need one more question? So now we good to go.
we good to go.
Okay. If we could,
Question.
yes.
What is the final answer for C? Is it the 1.436?
And 2.75, two of them.
So it's both of them together.
Both of them together. If you miss
Okay,
any
so
of
the
them,
expected value and standard deviation, correct?
exactly. If you miss any of them, you're gonna get some point deducted. Make sure that we're gonna do 2 calculations on it. So let me just point it out real quick. So there will be this will be the final answers. This one, and that one. Right? For the mean and expected value, so I need to point it out right there. So there will be 2 calculations. Okay, 2 calculations. Okay, so I feel like that is good enough for us to know what it is. All right. So making sure that we're gonna do 2 calculations on it, but not just one of that. It's very important. Are we good? So we need one more example. I think we did like 3 examples. If you need one more, I can do one more.
Yes, we need one more.
Do one more?
Yes.
Okay. So let's do question number 2. Okay, question number 2 was a little bit like a little better for us. So let's do question number 2, and then I think that it's good to go. For question number 2 that we have here is baby boomers. So the baby boomer will be the kids was born after 1945, after World War II, and of course that they're much older than me. So the baby boomers is ages from like 43 to 61 are still in the workforce. So this question's like more than 20 years ago, but anyhow, it's not gonna be a thing, right? And then, but anyhow, so approximately 65% of baby boomers age from 43 to 61 are still in the workforce. Okay, so 65%. So that will be the P. Do we agree?
Yes.
So because this number is percentage, so we're putting down the P equal to 65%, and that is 0.65. And we also have another number. How many people that we selected? So we select like 6 baby boomer. Do we agree? So this one equal to, this one will be the N. All right, so this one will be the N. So the N equal to 6. All right, so after that, we're going to look at the chart. So the chart that we have right there. So we have to go up there to get the N equal to 6 right here. I think I have to make it a little smaller so I have enough space for that. I copy and paste. Let's see if people can see them. And let me know you cannot see it. you can go to chart right there because I don't have enough space for that. I apologize. Yeah, this is like n equal to 6, and then we're gonna go for that one. All right, so that's really huge. But anyhow, we finally got it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is the first step that we need to do. We're gonna go for the n equal to 6 in this case. So we're gonna go n, which is right there. All right. So this one n equal to 6. And then we're going to go to the p equal to 0.65. Where's the 0.65? It should be that one. So do we agree? So that would be 0.65. Correct?
Yes.
And then the column that we need to have should be this one. So that would be 0.002 and so on and so forth. So I don't want you guys to miss any of them. So I just box that right for this question. All right, so there'll be like 7 numbers that we have on the list, and then we're gonna see them answer the questions along the way. So what is the probability, part 8, what is the probability of no fewer than
3.
So no fewer than 3 is what?
0, 1, and 2.
No, I mean fewer than 3 will be 0, 1, and 2, but no fewer than 3. So you gotta be really careful. It's tricky.
At least 3.
At least 3. That's correct.
At least 3. Yeah.
So that would be 3 plus 4 plus 5 and 6. Do we agree?
Wow, really?
Yes.
No fewer than 3.
And then we're gonna just add of like the p of 3, so that'd be 0.236, correct? Can read through 0.236 plus the p of 4, so that'll be 0.328 plus the p of 5, so that'll be 0.244, and the p of 6, so that'll be 0.075. Are we good?
75.
Yeah, which is that one, the last ones for that. And if you can read the chart, so I believe it's a little better, so that we're gonna go down there, and then 0.65. So just read those 4 numbers, okay, and add them up. So no fewer than 3, meaning that it should be 3 or more. Okay, so 3 or more. So in this case, I'm going to add them up, and the answer for that would be equal to.
So Professor, can you add like 0.3 till 5 without adding the 6?
No, we have to take. We have 6 baby boomers. We have like 6 people. So if the question said no fewer than 3, so that should be 3 or more, and then we have to add all the way up to 6. So we cannot.
Oh, okay. You can't add it halfway.
Mm-hmm. No fewer than 3, meaning that is 3 or more. So that's really important. Yeah, this is the keyword. I know it's really complicated, but please, we try to get used to it. And if you ask me why no fewer than 3 is 3 or more, because it's English. It's not the thing that we. So fewer than 3, can think of it. Fewer than 3 will be 0, 1, and 2, right? But no fewer than 3, so we should do the opposite for that, right? So that'd be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, stuff like that. So and then no fewer than 3, that should be 3 or more. So we add up to 6 because we only pick 6 baby boomer. We cannot have more than 6 for that. And so we're gonna add 0.075 as well. And the answer for that is 0.883. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Only one person said mm-hmm. And the rest of them just like, well,
Yes,
I'm
we're
too tired. I'm really need a break for that. I usually give people a break, but I would like to go over for the entire thing before we can start. Okay, so so let me just
on your chair.
On the chair, yeah.
We better don't move from the chair because it's not good.
Okay. So fewer than 3, that we need to make sure that this one is like 3 or more. Okay, so it's really important that we're gonna highlight them and see what's going on that we need to deal with. Yeah, this is the thing that lot of us like make mistakes on the exams. Like this is what the experience that I learned from the past. So I'm gonna give you a list of the word that we need to write them down before we can start the questions. So now we're gonna go to the part B of the questions real quick. So what is the keyword for part B? At least 5.
At least 5.
So at least
At least
5.
five.
So the minimum is 5, correct? So that would be 5 or more. Okay, not 5 or less, because the minimum is 5. At least.
Oh yeah, 5 or more.
5 more. Then we're gonna add them up with 5 and 6 together. So we're gonna take 0.244 plus 0.075, and the answer for that will be equal to. So the answer for that is 0.319. Are we good?
Yes.
Yes and no?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So now we're going to go to, for the part C, there will be 2 competition that we have to deal with, right? If you miss any of them, you're going to miss some grade on it. So the questions ask us to do the expected number, expectations, and the standard deviation of the baby boomer. Okay, so for this particular questions, that we're going to work on the expected value. So that would be the part C. And I'm going to use a different marker for that, just one we can distinguish what we are working on. So the C that we're going to put in there as the mean first. So the mean will be n times p. There's no argue for that. So the n equal to 6. And then the p equal to, remember the p have to be given from the questions at the very beginning. So that'll be 6 times 0.65. And that's the way it is. So we're gonna do it on a calculator, 6 times 0.65, and the answer for that is 3.9, right? So because we have 65 people, 65% of the people who are still in the workforce, if you ask me that if they pick 6 baby boomer, there'll be around 4 people still working. Okay, so that would be the thing that we have for this question. And similarly, when we have for the standard deviations, will be the square root of n times p times q. Okay, n times p times q. So what is n times p times q? And so that should be, let me just erase that, it's a little bit too long. So that would be equal to the radical of what? What is the Q in this case? So the Q is the chance that they get retired. So that would be 1 minus P, and 1 minus P equal to like 1 minus 0.65. So that would be 0.35. Okay, so make sure that we're going to take 1 minus the P to get the Q, and then we multiply the Q to get this, and then take the square root to get the final answers correctly. So I'm going to box this one just in case that people forgot it. And I won't forgive you for that if you make a mistake like that. I'm just kidding. Okay. So the thing that we're going to have right there, so we're going to take the square root of n. So that would be equal to 6 times the p is 0.65, and then the q is 0.35. Okay, and then the answer for that we're going to do on a calculator. So that would be 6 times 0.65 times 0.35. And we hit the enter for that, so the answer would be 1.16. Okay, so that would be like each individual's, like that would be the scatter, how many people like not working is with the people who are still working with the corresponding probability. So that'd be 1.16. All right, so are we good for this?
So Professor, why you don't put 1.168?
Well, because I'm a little lazy. Yeah, you're correct. I should put that 1.68. I agree with that. So it should be 3 decimal number for that. Yeah. If you give me 2 decimal number, usually I give you the final answer. I give you the full credit for that. But as I said, 3 decimal number is better. So I'm gonna 1.168. And
so Professor, in a case that I'm gonna put 1.16, do I have to round up to like 1.17?
Yeah, we can round up. If you round up to 1.17, I give you full credit for that. But if you keep me 1.16, what happens? I still give you full credit for that. Okay. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the decimal number. It's not gonna be a thing that'll take away point usually. You see how I agree on the third exams, right? And it's just don't let the algebra burden your lives, especially our lives. We should enjoy a little bit more, not just only dealing with all of that. Okay, but the thing that we have on a calculator, let's say we compute it. If you give me 0.88, I'm gonna put a question mark on it because the question gives a 3 decimal number. How did you end up like with 1 or 2 decimal number for that? So we have to be 3 decimal number correspondingly. Similar for part B, we 0.244 plus 0.075. So we should have a 3 decimal number for that as well. Yes, questions?
Professor, you add up 6 times 0.65 times 335. I got 1.365.
Let me just do that.
Because she didn't do the standard division. She didn't do the
square root, right? Did we do the
square root?
Yeah.
Right.
So we have to hit the second first, and then we're gonna go for the x square, right? So we can have that. Which calculator that you're using right now? Which calculator that we have?
TI 36.
TI 36.
Yes.
Which one? TI 36 Pro, correct? X Pro,
Yeah.
something like that?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just explain it to you. Okay, it's actually 24 bucks. It's pretty. So what we have to do in this case, so we have to hit the seconds, right?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go for the x square. And then you might have to open the parentheses for that. Or I'm sorry, you don't have to. And then we're gonna hit down like so that we're gonna hit the 6 times 0.65 times 0.35. So it takes 6 times 0.65 times 0.35, and then you close the parentheses, and then you're gonna hit enter. You should get the final answers correctly. Correct? Did you get?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get like 1.168? Yeah. Make sure that you're gonna hit the square root before we compute all of this math. If you forgot it, if you forgot the square root, you're gonna get the value for that, and then you still have to. You can't do the square root later on. You're gonna hit seconds, and then hit the square root, and then you're gonna put down the answers and the question. You're gonna hit second and go to the answers, and then you're gonna hit enter. We still get the final answers. But it's always better that we're gonna do the calculation in one single format. That we're gonna hit the second and then the square root, x squared, and then we're gonna get square root, and then do all of that. So I prefer like people do it in one single calculation, so we don't have any like trouble with this. All right, so are we good? So we went over 4 questions, and this is a thing that we gotta be really careful. Let me just rewrite a notes right there so you can see through what it is. It's a lot easier to look at. So this will be the things that we need to work on, and so the other things that we have. So this is n times p times q. Q, right? And another thing that we need to work on would be the keyword for that. So what does that mean by no more than 2? Anyone?
Not more than 2.
0
0, 1, 2.
1 plus 2.
So 2 or less. Do we agree? What does that mean by less than 2 or fewer than 2?
Yeah.
0 and 2.
No.
0, 1.
0, 1. So 1 or less. Do we agree? And what does that mean by at least 2?
0, 1.
More than 2.
So that would be more than 2, right?
Yes.
But do we count 2?
Sorry?
Do we count 2 in this for that? At least
Yes.
2. Yes, right? So 2 or more. Very important. And what else that we have for at most 2? At most 2.
At least you don't use that one almost too.
I
No
never
more
use the
than
one.
2.
Yeah, right. You're correct. I never used the one. I never used the at most. So, but you have to think of it. Like at most mean the maximum number is 2, right? Do we count 2 in this case? The answer yes, correct. So that'd be 2 or less. That would be the same thing as no more than 2. Are we good? And what else? Yeah. So no fewer than 2.
No fewer, yeah, that's the one that confused me.
All right.
No
No
fewer
fewer than
than
2.
2 or more.
2 or more. Very good. So no fewer than 2. That should be more than 2 for that, right? More than 2. Finally. What is the more than 2 in this case? So let me just put it down. More than 2.
That's clear, more than 2.
More than 2.
That's the best one.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like not a first one, but it's actually we do not count 2 in this case. So less than 2, we ignore that 2 as well. But more than 2, that should be 3 or more. Okay, 3 or more. Yeah. So
Tricky. All of them are tricky.
that is, I feel like that is the most complicated thing that we have to deal with for chapter 6.
Yes, it's confusing there.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
Well, English is confusing too, but we gotta be careful with that, and then you add them up and see what it is, and use some logic, and everything should be all right. But let me just remind you, the most important thing is not all these things. Okay, you might get a little bit wrong. I might take away a few points, but make sure that you're gonna read the table correctly. If you read it wrong chart, if you use the wrong chart for N and P, and of course that we're gonna lose the majority of the point. Let's say fewer than 2, and then you count 2. I might take away 1 or 2 points for that. But if you read all these values wrong on the questions, you don't get point for that. Okay, you might get like maybe 1 or 2 points. But so the most important thing is like get the chart and then
Yeah, the N and the P.
And get the N and the P, very important. And also when we do the expected number and standard deviations, it's always be the 2 calculation that we have to deal with, like 1 and 2. And if you only did 1 calculations, and of course I have to take away point. There's no way out that I do not take away point for that. Okay, so there'll be 2 calculations and 2 calculations when we compute the expectation and the standard deviation. Okay.
Professor, quick question. Yeah. Is the P always a percentage? The
P is always percentage, but sometimes there will be some trick questions, like question number. It's not a trick question. Let's say a quarter is like a quarter of all deaths are caused by heart attack, for instance. So 1/4 means what? 1/4 is 25%. Do we agree?
Yes.
Yes. Or maybe I change that to like 3/4, so that'd be 75%. So there will be a question like that. I would say this is a trick question because it doesn't really give us like percentage for that.
Can you not complicate it with any trick questions, please?
There's no complicated trick questions. Absolutely no. Definitely not going to be the case. But you got to be really careful. For instance, like for question number 6, this is the question that is also one of the final exam format. A family expect to have 7 children. That is a big family. Do you agree? 7 children. That's a lot. But assume boys and girls are equally likely. What does that mean?
Assume the boys are equal.
So you got 2 to monitor family because the mother and father.
Yeah, the mother and fathers and the boys and the girls. So what is the P in this case?
The probability.
The probability equal to what?
7.
So boys and girls are equally likely, meaning that the chance that we can give birth for the boys and give birth to the girls is going to be the same. That would be 50%, right? Not 1/7, 50%. Because boys and girls are equally likely. We only have 2 genders. What are you thinking? Right?
Alexa, can we do that question?
I think we're going to do that before the quiz next Saturday. We don't have time. I'm going to move on to the next topic.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, that we have a lot of topics. If you miss one single day on Saturday, you're gonna miss a lot of stuff. Just so that's important that we're gonna come in for Saturday and we do it. So now we're gonna completely done for chapter 6. Are we good? Okay, so now we're gonna go to chapter 7. So this will be the new chapter that we're going to look for. So for chapter 6, that can we count the R? Can we count R equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Right? We can do that, right? So we can just add them up and count it by a single point. But now when it comes to the chapter 7, this is a completely different chapter. Okay, so this one is the note is on Blackboard. So we call it continuous model. So this will be chapter 7. Let me just put a note real quick right there. So chapter 7 is the normal distribution. So remember, chapter 7 is the most confusing chapter. It's also the most complicated chapter. It's not the most difficult chapter. Difficult chapter was chapter 5 because it's hard in terms of understanding. But this one, the reason why we call this is a very complicated and very confusing chapter because it has the slightly same characteristic that we learned from chapter 6. But the only thing that makes chapter 7 different is because we do not count a point. So the normal distribution is the thing that we're going to deal with from chapter 7 all the way up to chapter 9. We're going to see them again for the table that we have to use. Okay, so the table that we need to use for this chapter is table number 3 or 3A. Okay, so there's no other way that we're gonna use different chart. Okay, so very, very important that we're gonna use table number 3 and 3A for this part. And the thing that we need to remember, the thing that we need to know is that there's no way that we can count a point. So the normal distribution is a continuous model, All right, so what does that mean by continuous model? For instance, I give you a line, and this is a different from chapter 6 and 7. Okay, from chapter 6 that we have for a discrete model. So discrete model is something that we have right there. Okay, so this one is discrete model, and this one is continuous model. So for instance, I might give you like a certain point, like this, right? So, and then which is also right here and there. So let's say I might give you a certain point like that. So let's say we're gonna go for like this. And let me just do the point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, for instance, right? So how many points do we have on this graph, on this model? So we have like 10 points, right? So we can count them, right? 10 points. So it's countable. Okay, so this is what we have done on chapter 6. So this is chapter 6, or in terms of the binomial, that can count a point from R equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So this one is countable for binomial, right? Binomial, chapter 6. Okay, so it seems to be like a little bit like troublesome for this, but for the continuous model, it will going like that, for instance. How many points on this graph?
Count points.
There's so many points that we can't even count them, right? So
Yeah.
so meaning that this one is like infinitely many points, right? If you ask me how many points for a straight line, I would say infinitely many points. Infinitely many points. We can't count a point. So this one what we call uncountable. So it will be the thing that we're gonna deal with for chapter 7, right there. And what's going on for this is that how can we get the probability? So we're gonna take the range or a certain interval. We call it range or interval into account. We take the range and interval into account. Okay, and that's really important, into account or interval. So this is or the range is basically the same thing as interval to compute the probability. All right. So, and this one that we call the normal distributions. I mean, my curve doesn't look so good, but generally that we can see through, from the notes that I uploaded last night, right? So the continuous is something that we do not have, like the stopping point is to have to keep going. So this is what we call continuous model, and this is what we call discrete models. Okay, so those are two different things. That the one that we can count the points and one that we can count the points. Okay. And what is that? So the binomial distribution is a discrete model such that we count from 0 to n. So this one is something that we have, whereas the normal distribution is continuous distributions, such that we consider the interval we cannot count a point. So that's really important. So what is the property for that? The property for that is will be this one. Okay, let me just do that real quick and I'll show you what it is. Okay, so what is the property? So there will be two things that we need to remember. I think I got rid of the thing and the most pretty important thing. And I think I show it the work and I show how to read the chart, but I did not really explain it well for that. So this is the chapter 7.8, right? So for the chapter 7.8, what the curve looks like. So I'm gonna go to the chart and go to the model, and then I will show you what it is. Okay, so this is what we're going to deal with. Okay, let me just copy and paste right there. All right, so this is the model. And it looks like a bell shape, okay? So so the binomial, I'm sorry, normal distributions has the different has the mean and the standard deviations. The mean, which is called mu, something that we have learned, and then the standard deviations. Let me just do that, and the standard deviations. Sigma. Okay, so the mean that we use the letter something like that we learn it. I think we just learn it, and now we have to use it over and over again until the end of the semester. Until the end of the semester. Let me just repeat that again. So we're gonna use this true syntax until the end of semester. It's really important. So they have a different mean and different standard deviation for each model, and very important that we're gonna utilize that. Okay, but now today that we're going to learn from the chapter 7 part 1, that we need to know how to do it for the standard normal. So what is the standard normal? The standard normal distributions has the mean equal to 1, 0, I'm sorry, at the mean equal to 0, and the standard deviation equal to 1. So let me just highlight that and rewrite them. Yeah, so we're gonna learn how to read these two, and then of course it's gonna be on the exam for that too. So the first thing that we need to do is the standard normal distributions has the average equal to 0 and the standard deviation equal to 1. And this one is literally coming from the table number 3 or 3A. Okay, table number 3 or 3A. Or 3A. Okay, so what it looks like, the curve, if it's on the negative part, it will go like this. So this is the bell shape. Remember, that one's gonna be the thing that we call a bell shape curve. Okay, so this one is 0, so the mean equal to 0 and the standard deviation equal to 1. So we can see them that this one would be the mean, the average, okay, so of the standard normal. And how are we going to compute that? Of course, it's really complicated, so we ignore this part. The way that we can compute it using the functions from the notes, I believe that nobody wants you to look at it, which is that one. Okay, so this is the way that we can compute it. But again, I do not want to give you guys a lot of trouble with the formulas, and so on and so forth. This is what we call the functions of the normal distribution function. You just want to know what it is and know how to read it on the exams. Only one person, like after I taught this course like for more than 9 years, it's about like the thing that we have for e to the power something. Only one person can get it without using a chart. He used a calculator TI-83 to compute it, but please do not do it. It's not healthy for our brain unless we're really good at math. And so this is what we call the mean equal to 0. Okay, it's going to give us all the probability and the standard deviations equal to 1. Okay, so it's always be like that for the standard normal. So it's really important on table number 3 and 3A. It's always give us this characteristic. So I'm gonna box this one real quick. Just want to make sure that we're working on with the standard normal. We're gonna come back to the normal curve like with different mean and different standard deviations next week. But now we need to look for the table. So this one we call table number 3. Okay, table number 3. Why this is what we call table number 3? Because it's going to take us all the values of the z negative. So we have a negative z. Okay, so the z have to be negative because less than 0. So it's less than 0 for that. So it's have to go to the left side. And this one is negative z, negative values. Okay, and so this is what the table number 3 looks like. And now we're gonna go to the next chart, which is on the positive side, and the z have to be right there. And the z have to be right there. So I wanna just copy and paste for these and go over that real quick. Okay, so there will be 2 things that we need to look at. The z will be one is positive and the other one is negative. So it's really important that we have this. Okay, so in the situations that we have the z is positive, okay, positive z on both sides. And this is table number 3A. So now the most important thing is like how we're gonna read the probability. So remember the probability. So what is the probability? So the probability, the total areas, the total area of that, the total area of any problem with that will be exactly 1. So total probability will be exactly 1, right? The total area under the curve. So that would be the area under the curve. Okay, so that's important that we know that the total area will be exactly 1. So how do we know it? Because we prove it using statistic. We have to accept the fact that the total area under this curve from the left to the right have to be exactly 1. It's keep going forever, but we only look at like a certain point of the value of the z and then to determine that. It's true for all the normal curve in order to be like the probability distribution. The total area or the total probability have to be exactly 1. But how can we compute a probability? So the probability will be the range or the area under a certain range, right? So the area under a certain range for that. And then we need to know what it is. We need to know what it is, okay, for this particular questions. Okay, so for instance, I want to look for the probability of z less than 1. So we have to compute from the area of z right there and go to the left side. Okay, so that would be very, very important that we do it that way. So let me just try it out with like a few examples and see what's going on. Okay, and see what's going on for that. So the thing that I'm going to work on, I'm not sure. Let me just go back to the note. And the thing that we're going to work on, so this is what we have right there. So for the entry, so the table number 3, so the table entry for z's to go to the left side. The z value here less than 0, and the z value there is positive. Okay. So for instance, I want to look for the probability of z less than negative 1.25. What's going on? So we just want to learn how to read the chart. So example, I want to go for the probability of z less than negative 1.25. So this is the first thing that we need to do. So we have to be the range. We cannot really like look for any value at the specific point. It has to be the range for this. So what is the z of the probability of z less than 1.25? So less than, so we have to go to the left side. And then the first step that we need to do for this particular questions is that we need to know if this one is negative or positive. So negative 1.25 will be is a negative values. Do we agree? So that this one is negative, correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
if this one is negative, what's going on for that is we need to go to table number 3, because table number 3 going to give us the negative values, and table number 3a is going to give us the probability
Positive.
on the positive values. Okay, so if we see this one is negative 1.25, then we're going to go to table number 3. Okay, so the first step that we're going to work on is we're going to go to table number 3. This one's table number 3. And then we're going to go all the way down to negative 1.2 and 0.05. So how we're going to figure out these values, we're going to go for this. Okay, so I want to copy and paste for that. Just want to make sure that we can do it quick. So negative 1.25 will be that one.
Find the z.
Yeah. So let me just, how did I get negative 1.25, right? You might think of it, I just love negative 1.25, I just got it. As simple as that. It doesn't matter why, there will be a certain question that we have to look at. So the first step that we need to go, remember the first decimal, the first number, and the first digit, and then the first decimal. So we're going to read this one is negative 1.2 and 0.05. Okay, you're going to read that as the first digit and then the first decimal. So this one have to be on the column. I'm sorry, on the row. And 1.05 have to be on the column. Okay, so this one on the row and this one in the column. Are we good? So can somebody tell me what is the negative 1.25 that you found in the chart? So it has to be like negative 1.2 right there. Do we agree? Everybody sees that?
Yes.
And then we're going to take the intersections with 0.05. So that would be on the column. So, and then now we're going to take the intersection for this. So the intersections between that and this one. What is the answers?
0.1056.
Yeah, 0.1056. And remember, all the chart, so let me just make note real quick. The table only give the probability to the left side, which means less than, okay, the probability to the left side. And I feel like that's really important, to the left. Basically less than, okay? So if you want to look for more than, you're gonna do something. So I wanna show you what it is. And I'm gonna just box them. Okay, the table only gives the probability to the left side. So in this case, what we need to be working on is the probability actually less than 1.25. So in this case, it's actually give us the area on the left side. So we can check them on the pictures right there. So I think I'm using these pictures. And so I'm gonna just copy and paste right there. Right. So this is the area, so the probability that generated from the chart is going to the left, right? Going to the left side. So this one is going to the left and we're good to go. Okay, so I indicate them and this is what we need to do. Remember, the chart always gives us the area go to the left and the question's also less than, so we're good to go. It go to the left side. And the answer for that is 0.1056. Are we good? So simply, whenever you see values, you need to identify whether or not it is negative or positive. So negative 1.25 is negative values. Then we're going to go to table 3. and then we're going to take into account the first digit and then the first decimal, so that'll be negative 1.2, and then we're going to go to 0.05, so we're going to read that as negative 1.25. We take the intersections, we got the answers, which is 0.1056. Are we good? A lot of confusions, right? A lot of confusion, issue that popping up right there. And now we want to read the values of the p of z greater than negative 2.1. Let's go and see what it is, right? So for the part B, I want to read the value of z. Let's do one more example, like z of the less than 3 point. Just give me a number. Just give me a number between 1 and 3, and we have 2 decimal numbers for that. Positive.
11, of course.
1.14. Okay, we can't have more than 11 because the chart
is true.
Is up to 3.4 something. It's
Yeah,
going to be greater than 3.4. Okay, so we're going to take 1.14 for instance. So the side is less than, so the arrow goes to the left side. We're not going to do anything with that. So the first step that we need to do is to go to the chart. I'm going to just copy this chart and paste it. First step that we need to do. Of course, I'm not going to copy these pictures all the time, but I just need to copy that for the few steps that we're going to experience right now. And we're going to paste right there. Now, I would like to ask people, what is the first step that we need to go? First, that we go to this one. Do we agree this one is positive?
Yes.
Yes or no? If this
yes,
one
it's
is
positive.
positive, what's happening?
You have to go to table B, 3A.
Very good. Then we're going to go to table number 3A. Fantastic. Why table 3A? Because it's positive. As simple as that. It's positive, then the error still be going to the left side, but we going to get to the positive charge. If you ask me, can we find any values on a negative 1.14 here? The answer is absolutely no. One person's on the exam, I couldn't find 1.14 because all of these are negative. Of course, this one is 3. You have to go to the positive chart to get 1.14, for instance. Okay, this is what happening like a few years ago. Like people asked me, how can I get positive 2.5? And I was like, you using the wrong chart because we can't figure it out on all the negative values right there. How do you know 3 is negative? Because all of this are negative 1 point or negative 0.6 and so on and so forth. So we need to go to the positive chart to get 2.5. For our questions, that'll be 1.14. So in this case, that we're gonna go to 1.1 for sure. So this one, you're gonna go to the Z. I'm gonna read these values as 1.1 and 0.04. Okay, so we have to break it down in terms of the row and the column. It's really important. It's critical. And now we're gonna go to we're gonna go to what? We're gonna go to the Z of 1.1. Do we agree?
Well, you got a 1.1?
It's coming from the question. It's coming from someone just give me 1.14 now. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm kidding for that, so don't take it. So this one is 0.04. Do we agree? Because you're going to break it down in terms of 2 part. The first digit and the first decimal number have to be on the row, and then the second decimal number will be on the column. So remember that. And so in this case, that we're going to go to take the intersections between 1.1 and 0.04. What do you get?
Professor, so I understand the intersections, but I don't understand how you get the 1.1 and then the 0.04.
Because coming from the question, so 1.14 in this case would be 1.1 and 0.04. Do we agree? So you're going to read that 1.14. Are we good?
Oh.
The first digit and then the first decimal number will be on the columns, and then the second decimal number will be on the, on the row, and then the second decimal number have to be on the column. So I'm going to read that as, so we're going to read this one as 1.14. Okay, so I'm going to read that as 1.14.
So then 1.13 would be 1.1 and then 0.03?
That's correct. And so the answer for that would be 0.729, right? Do you feel like it's start to get complicated, right? Because of the chart.
I'm lost.
Yeah. Because of the chart that we found right there.
Yeah, I got it.
Do you get it?
I got the value.
No, Professor, I'm lost.
You lost? So
Me
let's
too.
just try it out with another question. Let's see what's going on, okay? So let me just try them out with the part C, the probability of Z. Let's say, give me a number. It can be negative or positive, it's up to you.
1.1.
Let's take negative 0.69. Do we agree?
Yes.
Okay, this is the value that we're going to look at. And now I would like to ask people which chart that we have to go to.
Table 3.
Why table 3? Because this one is negative, right? Then we're going to go to table number 3. Okay, table 3. All right. And all we need to do for this chart, of course, are we going to copy and paste for the negative 0.69, and let me just check them on the chart and see what it is. It's actually too big for this, and I think I need to make it smaller. It's too small. Anyhow, I don't have enough space for that. So I'll just copy and paste and see how big that is. Can we just change you like, instead of 0.69, can I change you like at something bigger than that? Let's say like 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
14.
Let's say I don't have enough space for that. So let's change you like negative 2.69. Are we good? I feel like it's a little bit fair because I don't have enough space for the chart. Remember, those are just practice. Those numbers should be given. Okay, and then let's go for it. Okay. All right. So the first step that we have to think of it, so we need to, so 2.69, so we have to think of the first digit and then the first decimal number. What is that?
2.6.
Negative 2.6, correct. So negative 2.6. And what is the second decimal number?
0.09.
And 0.09, okay. I might want you to make it a little bigger. So the thing that we need to do with, I'm gonna go to the chart, and so okay, I have enough space for sure. I can zoom in a little bit. I still have the space, and I want to copy and paste. On the exam, we should not do it, right? We just write down the answers. That's it. And let's copy and paste and put this right there. Okay, so this is what it is. And I just want to make sure that we had it to the right chart, that we're going to go to negative 2.6, which is that one, correct? And how can I get 0.09?
Professor, sorry, how did you get the negative 2.6? Because what you wrote is negative 2.69. So how did you split it up? And
yeah, so what happened for that, because the chart has like one decimal, and I'm sorry, the chart give us 2 decimal number. So meaning that if the questions give us 2 decimal number, we need to consider the first decimal and the first digit on the row. So the row we have to go to like 2.6 right there, negative 2.6. But concerning for the second decimal number, then we have to go to the column, right? So how can I get a column? The column that we have is 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, 0.04, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So meaning that we have to go to this column to get the final answers correctly. So in this case, that'll be negative 2.6 and then 0.09. So the answer for that is 0.036 right there. Okay, are we good? It's still not very happy with that. It's still not very happy with that. So yeah. And we're still not really happy here. I know this chapter is going to be really, really confusing for us, but bear with me a little bit until we learn all the rule and then follow the way that we have right there, and we should be able to get the final answers correct. So in order to go for like negative 2.69, this one is less than, then we're going to go to negative 2.6 and then 0.09. And then we got the answers, which is 0.036. Okay, we just do like one reading and then you got the answer like that. How easy? Do we agree it's easy? No, actually not. This is just the very beginning. Remember, we're going to have like a very long battle for chapter 7 because chapter 7 is going to be the most point on the final exam, the second exam, and it's also very confusing. All right, so the first step that we need to get used to the values of the z. So why we call this the z? Because the standard normal that we use the letter z. We use the letter z for the standard normal. Okay, for the normal distributions that we're gonna use the letter x. We're gonna learn that. Okay, so why we use z, I don't know. It is just the people that love using it. You panicking? Okay, that's happening. Yeah, yeah, we got panic. I'm gonna try to
I'm panic that is too. So
alleviate your panic by giving you as clear lecture as possible. If you can read the chart for me, like everybody. So last semester when the outbreak started, and then I just posted, and everybody can read them and know what it is, and they can't even solve the problem from the homework problem. I was like really surprised. And then, but anyhow, the chapter is on Blackboard, and it's part 1 for that. But remember, chapter 7 is really complicated, so I'm gonna just like I'm going to break it down in terms of like part 1, part 2, and part 3, and then before we can combine them into a single chapter summary. And remember, it's not too bad if you after that, like after we finish everything and when you do the word problem, just follow the trick that I have and everything should be all right. So I feel like it's good for us now, and I'm gonna take attendance and then call it a day. It's almost like 11. Everybody get tired. We deserve a break. It is too complicated. Yeah, it's not too bad if you know the rules. Like read like the first decimal and then the first digit for decimal number have to be on the row, and then the second decimal number have to be in the column, and read it along the way. What happened if the question doesn't have a second decimal number? So then we're gonna take the first column, which is 0.00, as simple as that. But the thing that we need to deal with is not only for less than, that we also have the greater than, because this is coming from the interval, right? So we're going to have the greater than as well. Instead of looking on the area to the left side, we can look at the area on the right side and then about it in between. And this will be a thing that we're going to cover next week. Okay, so I feel like we have too much and I did too much talking. You might get sick of my voice, so I better just take attendance and call it a day. Remember, when you come back next Saturday, that we're going to have a small quiz, right? So that'll be quiz on chapter 6. Any concern about the exam grade, you can also contact me and let me know what it is. So Assassinados is here for sure.
Professor, are you gonna be on Zoom today?
Yeah, absolutely. So after 11:30, so I need to take a break for that.
so no homework that we have to say, no?
No,
Just
no.
practice?
I think that the practice is from the chapter, but I don't think that chapter 7 is we can practice for that because it's pretty long for the first part of it. So we're gonna go back to it next week, and so next week we're gonna have a burn. I tried to cover 7.1 here, but it's impossible to do it. But anyhow, so just don't worry, don't panic. Everything should be all right.
So no homework for today, right?
We do have the homework for chapter 6 uploaded in Blackboard, so you can double check that. So the homework is right there. So we're gonna go to the homework folder, and then you can see that homework for chapter Homework 6 is right there. So I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
And try to do it as soon as possible, right? Because it's better to spend 10 minutes working on homework right now than like 2 hours working on homework next week. So, okay. Do you agree? Chapter
Yes.
7, no, chapter 7 would not be part of the quiz.
Are we part of the exam?
Part of the exam for sure. And
Exam 2?
exam 2 and, and final exam for sure. Yeah, you can't run away from chapter 7. It's actually the most important model.
Yeah.
You can't run away from it.
Professor, is the exam 1 considered as midterm?
Exam 1 considered as midterm, so that will be your midterm grade as well. But it doesn't mean anything. I have a lot of people who got like midterm like 95. They still drop the class after chapter 7. Let's see what's going on. Well, okay.
You can drop the class.
No, I mean some people they get scared because of the
I am
chapter.
panicking right now.
Yeah, but
Me, I need it. I need
I'm
my
scared.
class. And I'm learning a lot. So.
And sometimes I have the eye problem. You know, I have to go to see my eyes doctor. So when I was told that I have to read all this number, I'm gonna get scared. So, and also the number is not that big, so sometimes it's always better to use a magnifier to read them correctly on the chart. So
Even though we don't use glasses, we can buy a little $10 one.
you might end up like wearing glasses at the end of semester.
Yeah, no, you can buy the $10 glasses.
Okay, yeah.
To see it.
All right, so Jessica is here. How can I'm gonna tell you what it is after that. David is here, right? And then Blaze is here. And Capone is here. Monica is here. Monica is going once. Going twice. Okay. David is here.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Johanna is here. Yeah, you have a good hand as well as here. And Asaido is here. Asaido. Mine, I guess Sammer is here. Okay, so I was just doing my mushers.
Yes, I'm here, Marcia.
Okay. Marlene is here.
I'm here.
Absolutely, got you. Sophie.
I'm here, Professor Mike.
Okay, got you. Thank you very much for your greatest energy. I'm actually running out of energy on the side. But Berani is here? Okay. Again, that the midterm grade is available. You can go to the tool and then I want to show you what it is. Matt is here. Matt is not here. Mariso's?
Here.
Ducasse? Tammy is here? Absolutely, got you. Tris? Nani?
Tris is here.
Absolutely. Kawuchi is here. Junior is here to ask me if we have a quiz for today. Nico is here? No. Melissa's?
Here.
Azir is here. And Anna is here.
Yes,
No,
that's me.
Yeah, that's you. I recognize your voice. I put you check for that for sure. And Marlene Santiago. I love San Diego, but okay, Santiago is really great. Marlene's here. Okay, no response. Let me just double check if that person's here. Okay, not here. Israel. Okay, not here. And Stephanie. Stephanie's going once, going twice. Illyria Williams.
I'm here.
Very good. Okay, that's it. And how can we check the grade? So we're gonna go to the tour, and
Professor, you put me in, right?
yes, I put you present. Don't worry about that. And then we go to my grade. Of course, I don't see my grade. I don't have any grade for that. So we can literally check. We have the homework 3, 4, 5, 6, and then exams. So this is I don't take the exam, so I don't have the grade for that. So if you don't see your grade on Blackboard, let me know. Okay, so that's really important. So go to the tour and go to my grades, and that's pretty much a thing. Okay, so remember, your exam 1 will be your midterm grade. It doesn't mean anything, like, because the third exam is pretty okay for that. And can you tell us the grade for the midterm if we email you? Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you the grade for that for sure, like 100%. If you cannot find the midterm grade, you check it on Blackboard.
Officer.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm here. You put me absent.
Oh, I apologize. So,
Diallo.
Okay. I did put you present.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, Professor, I'm still absent.
Oh, really? All right, I got you. Okay, so I hope you guys are going to have a great weekend and take care of yourself. Stay safe, stay healthy.
11:30 today?
We going to have the homework for today only, and just work on it as soon as you can. And then we're gonna see each other again for the new battle for chapters, for the quiz and chapter 7. Okay, so next week gonna be very, very critical, very important. So we're gonna be like, stay focused on that chapter because we're gonna cover the entire chapter 7 next week. Okay, so I try to go like a little bit, but still a long way to go. All right, so we're gonna cover chapter 7 on October 31st. That will be the Halloween day. I'm not sure. Okay, so a day before my birthday. Anyway, so you guys are going to have a great weekend and enjoy. So if you guys want to see me on Zoom at 11:30, you're more than welcome to be there. All right. So
Safe, everybody. Beautiful.
take care. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Goodbye, Professor.